All right, fellas. Chevy Astro. In this case, it's a GMC Safari. 4.3 liter Vortec engine. Code P0305. We got a code P0305. P0305, and my old scanner, OBD2, doesn't tell me as much as some of the newer things that are out there, but it did drill it down, and I'll just give you a quick look. This is plug number 5, cylinder number 5. Years ago, I did plugs on it, and I could not get to the wrist. It's the rear on the driver's side. I couldn't get to it. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk a little bit about plugs and stuff like that, and tune-ups, and I'm going to give you some tips and tricks if you want to save some money. Vehicles are really expensive today, so anything that you could do to save a few bucks, I think, might be worthy. Old cars like this, 1996, it's an old car by today's standards for sure, but by the standards of, I would say, like technology, these are pretty decent vehicles, and it's a great engine, and you really want to consider it. It's blowing up on the internet for sure, because cars have become so expensive. Used cars are expensive, and they're old, so you're going to have to maintain them and service them. I think I did the plugs once, and then I could not get to this plug, so that's where the problem lies. If you haven't done it, if it hasn't been done, you're going to need all of that, and get yourself an air filter and, of course, a fuel filter. But the scope of this one is going to be ignition related, so let's get started. Let's give it a listen. It's a little rough. We got the light on. And as it runs for a while, you can really kind of hear the miss. Oh, I can feel it. Let's just go back out one more time. You can kind of hear it underneath there. It's misfiring. Well, now we can see what we're working with here. So that's what you got to get to, and it's not so bad, I think, on this side. I'm probably not going to be able to see in there, but I'm thinking maybe we'll take some of these flaps off. I don't really like the idea of it, but I may have to. All right, now you can see in there a little bit better. All right, so there's no room to get a camera in, but we're on the passenger side. And so this is 246. To get these out wasn't so bad. I just pulled them out. I think this one we could probably leave in, but if we have to, we'll pull that one out. And so what I like to use is tools like this. I'll show you what I have out. We'll go back over them again, what I wound up using. And you just lean underneath, kind of get underneath these guys and just pop them forward. So I got out everything. I got to get the plug, the wires off, the boots. So maybe we'll see which ones work. I can't see what I'm doing in the camera. There's too much glare. I don't know why I started on this side. The sun's over here. So I got all these tools, wobble adapters, big long extension, and let me see what I can come up with. Okay, so now we're on the driver's side. That's plug number 1. And then plug number 2 is hidden. And plug number 3 is somewhere. That's plug number 3 is, I can kind of see it, but it's plug number 5, and that's probably why. Getting the boot out is going to be hard, so I got to get my gloves on, because sticking your hands in there, that's going to be a nightmare. All right, so I'm probably going to order a set of wires too, because I'm going to destroy the wires. Let me show you what we're up against here. So this is number 5, and this is why I didn't do it. All right, the manifold is in the way, the exhaust manifold. I can't even get a comfortable position to be in here, just to try to look at it and hold the camera straight. The plug wire is all the way down there. It's down by where my tip of my finger is. There's no room for me to get anything in. I don't know if you can see it, but the turn of the doghouse is here, down here.
Man's got to know his limitations.
All right, so I pulled off more of that covering. That's it. Now I pulled the wire out, unfortunately, but we should be able to fix that or replace it. But that's the damn one there. That's 5. It's all the way back, right? And that's to get that, any of these boots, to get them off is going to be difficult. So I got to figure out how I can grab that boot. But I can spray it now. Now that I can see it, I'm going to spray it with some lube and try to get, I got some lube on those, right? You want to get some lubricant somehow under the boot. Sometimes if you get the lubricant on it, you can twist the boot a little bit or pull on it. That's what I was trying to do, and then some will go underneath and it'll break this vacuum seal, this stuck seal. Let me work on that. I got it out. This is a 41-932. I bought something a little bit different. This is iridium. At least that's what I'm getting. There's probably original, you know, for sure. You could see it's all carbon fouled. And I bought platinum. Now the iridiums last a long time. This just went, I forget what the mileage is. It's a little over 100,000, but it's the years, 96, and it idled a lot. We'll get a closer look at all of them. So I just got smart and made up a little board, you know, a little box, and where we can, you know, check all the plugs when I'm done. We could get a good idea of what's going on with the engine. I had to break this apart. That was the only way. I had to get in there with like long nose vice grips and such, and a little lubricant, and it's in okay shape. I just, you know, how else am I going to get it? So this is the newer one, AC Delco 41-979. It's just a platinum variant, and I think it's just a coated outside end. These are about $10 a pop, and this is probably some kind of a stainless, although it did get, I think it's just a bit of tarnish on it, a little bit of rust, but not bad, and some dirt. All right, I'm going to do one at a time, and then I'll deal with the wires later. I do have some wires. Wires? I don't remember what these were for, but, you know, 8mm high energy suppression. It's the right angle boot. If I don't damage the other boot, which is a straight boot. I think there's a couple of straight boots on the engine, but we'll see what happens when I get through, you know, doing the plugs. All right, mess of tools. All right, so I just grabbed the end from the piece that I broke. We'll put a new boot on. I got another boot, and I just kind of open them up with, you know, a pair of needle nose and the diagonal, and whatever. I got an awl, so I just was working to open that up. Now I do have these. And this should help me to crimp it back down again. Yeah, she's going good. Now it's in a little different position, but that's okay because we're going to kind of twist the wire in a little different position anyway. And I'm just bringing it down a little bit at a time. The wire's good. The wire's fine. 7mm. It's a different type of an end on this side, on the distributor side. So we're going to stay with this wire. It seems fine. These all should be fine. If I have to replace them, then I'll do it another time. But let's just see if it runs. Now, I don't have another straight boot, so I'm going to have to just deal with an angle boot. And it's not the first time I've had to deal with that. Not optimal, but... All right, so now we can just take a little bit of lubricant. You know, this is my tranny fluid stuff. And we can push it in. So this should be okay. The other style is what this goes in a distributor cap. This is probably like HEI. So we're going to grab another end because we need a boot. We just need a boot from something, and the end. So I have an end and we need a boot. We can just pop this back in, and I'll go install it, and then I'm going to go take off the other wire. And I'll deal with that, and we'll check out the plugs in a bit, but we should be able to test it in about 20 minutes or so. And all this looks good. There's like no mileage on it. I'm pretty sure I replaced these at least once. I'll check my records later. All right, so we're going to swap this end out. This is the straight boot style, and like I said, I ruined it. So I'm going to grab another boot. And on this end that goes into the distributor, it has this corrugated. And that's because there's some supports and stuff there, and it's to keep it from rubbing, and rubbing will cause a short. And what you would see it in a white deposit. All right, it's almost like a white carbon trace from arcing, but we don't see that. So this is from a Lawn Boy. This is the signal switch for the rear bag or block off plate, right, mulching plate, and it just completes the circuit and sends the signal over because it detects the metal bar. So I just happen to have one of these laying around, and because it's got this on it, the corrugated. So we're actually going to just use this once I get it off. But the idea, I'll show you when I'm done. We're just going to use a piece of this because it has to. This kind of comes out nice, but now we kind of have to do kind of like this. So it's not going to fit as nice. The straight one is better, but there is the heat shield there, and we'll have this as well, and that'll provide a heat shield. So we'll be fine. All right. When we take that off, I'll switch ends. I'll pull off another boot without damaging another cable, and we'll be good to go. All right, I got another one out. All right, so this is, what is this one? 3. I forget. I'm on the passenger side. I'm getting tired. Getting the boots off is really hard. So we got one more plug to go. I did damage a straight boot back there, so got to figure out what I'm going to do with that. See, there's no way to even get a camera in here, guys, because it's going to try to focus on the nearest thing, and and my better camera, there's just no way I would even attempt that. So let me put this plug in. I'm trying to put a little bit of some CRC extreme duty silicone on the boots, put everything back together. It'd be nice to put like a gel on there, but that's not going to happen. Let's just take a quick look. All right, so front of engine. Okay, this is the driver's side, passenger side. So they said it was number 5, and that's the first one we pulled, and it definitely looks like it's got a really big gap, but I don't think it does. And I pull the gap, it's about 60, but something's definitely going on. I mean, it looks carbon fouled because there's no cream color whatsoever anywhere. It's a little bit on the end. So this is 3, right? The one in the middle on the driver's side. And it's 66, 67 thousandths. So it's out of gap. And this is number 1 cylinder. And it's 66, 67. So it's way out of gap. Got a tiny little bit of white or cream on the end. So it didn't completely foul out yet. This is number 2, the first one in the front. It's got that little bit right there. These things were just so shot, guys. We're way beyond. Actually, this one is 55, 56,000. So this one got weird. This is number 4, the one in the middle on the passenger side. That's about 60 thousandths, maybe a little bit less. The outer electrode, not too bad, but, carbon fouled. I don't know how much more we're going to do tonight. I'm getting tired, but I'll work a little bit longer. This is the last one, number 6, way in the back. She's about 60. All right, I know we got rain coming in. I don't know if it's coming in tomorrow or whatever. So I'm just going to kind of close up a little bit more outside. And so it's running okay. Just ran it for a minute, just, like a minute just to see. I don't hear any shaking or anything, but we got to run it longer. All right, fellas, now let's just take a look at some plug options here. Now, just keep in mind, and you'll see, I'll show you some of the tools that I used. I don't show the whole process because there's no way to get the camera in. It's just not possible. It's really hard. You're going to have to take the wheels off, jack the front up. You're going to have to take off the covers. I'll show you. There's these splash guard rubber, plastic, whatever they are. It's going to be tough getting it in there. You're going to need some tools, right? Not anything crazy, but big, long extension, wobble adapters. So these are this is a 41-993 that you see here. I used a 992. I don't know why that's not coming up. They're showing a 993. Maybe they changed it. Like I said, I did this like a year or two ago. But you can see these are iridium plugs. So this is very similar to the one that I used. This one says it replaces the 41-932. And this is $14 for one plug right here. So this is essentially the replacement plug for it. And that's pretty damn expensive, fellas. I mean, you know, I didn't buy the iridium because of that. At the time, I really didn't have the money to go all out. But these are really good plugs, and you'll see when we get to that segment, you'll see what mine looked like. Well over 100,000 miles, 100 and something. I forget what it is. And this is another variant of it. So let's just look here. So this is the new one. So that's what it looks like is happening. There's a pack of 4 for $25, fellas. So this is their replacement in the AC Delco. But they're really good plugs. $26, $25.85, and at least if you signed up with Amazon, you won't pay shipping, but you're going to be paying the tax. And it's weird because it's a pack of 4. So if you bought another pack of 4, you're going to have to buy individuals. You have to buy 2 more. Now let's take a look at what I used. So this is the whole lineup. I just did a search for 41-979 in the Platinum, and you can see the different prices here, which I thought was his advanced auto. AC Delco, double Platinum spark plug. I think this is what I actually bought. I think I actually I got my set from Advanced because they're around the corner and they're pretty common. $10.29, $11 plus tax. It's about the same price. These are tipped, right? So you can't clean any of these plugs, fellas. So you don't be thinking about cleaning them and putting it back in. First of all, it's so difficult to get these things out and back in again, and you're going to wind up ruining the boots and the wires. So get yourself a set of wires, and you'll see what I did. Look for something like this. Again, you can't clean these, right? A lot of these are tipped or coated, so be careful. Don't buy anything like too cheesy. There are cross references to maybe your favorite brand plug, but I just kept it simple. These things last a long time. I've had them in the vehicle for over a year now, and it's been running fine. All right, so just a quick look at some of the tools. So this is what I was prying out, those little locks, which I had to go put back on. Those little rivets, plastic rivets that hold all the nonsense on. All right, one of these, right, I only used it once. I forget which plug. This guy, which I used it once, maybe twice. You can kind of get in there and grab the boot. I had to break off some boots. Somehow I was able to get some grippage on this. This is, I think I showed you already, the boot style tool. I used it a bunch of times. Sometimes you can't use it because you can't, I would have liked to have used this on every one, right? But I didn't have enough room to do that, right? Let me get all this off, clean that up before I put it away. And then of course I had to pry at the boot with a big screwdriver. And then a wobble adapter, right? What is this, 7/8, 5/8? I forget what size this is. I don't know, I'm tired. One wobble adapter. And one point I had to put in one of these and a really long extension, right? It's the only way. So, and whatever else, but this is primarily what I used. So I'm going to go clean up and I'll see you guys in a bit. Burn off all that stuff I sprayed on. Pretty quiet, sounds good. Oh, I got a little belt chirp, which I've worked my butt off to try to make that stop. I mean, it's just a tiny little chirp because it's been sitting. but there's no, yeah, it's still smoking. It's gonna smoke for a little while. I'm gonna let it run for a bit. Sounds quiet. See the difference in the note? We gotta put that Techron in. Probably do that tomorrow. Sounds good over here. Nice and smooth. Coming up to temperature. And it would have thrown the light on by now. Just gonna let it run a little bit longer while I'm straightening up a little. And I'm calling it for tonight. I'll finish up tomorrow.
The next day.
Let's see if you can see that. I don't know, I can't really tell because I'm looking at the camera and I'm not really able to see what the camera sees. But you can see that this is all carbon tracking. You can see some of it's just oxidation. And we're gonna clean that up with just a touch of acid, but also mechanically I gotta do this. Now you could replace this cap. This cap was replaced, and I remember I had replaced the cap with, back in the day, there were these cheap Chinese products that were coming over in blister packs, AutoZone and others. You know, we lost the local auto parts stores, right? And it failed. I was doing a delivery on a machine that I made, you know, a control system, very expensive in a very wealthy area, and I couldn't really complete the delivery because the cap failed, the new cap. I did a cap and wires and everything. I thought I am doing a good thing, and turns out no. So this was the replacement from that, which I got a better quality one. So lesson be learned, right? So I'm going to clean this one. And I figured what I would try to do, start off with, is I'm just going to take Scotch-Brite style cookie and just see if I can hit it from the side to start off with. Let me see. Yeah, that's a little overkill, but it does the job. The other way to do it is with a Dremel and something very similar, but I don't want to use anything like an abrasive wheel, like this, or a cartridge roll, because they're going to cut the metal. So I'm just going to see if I can just knock off. You can also do it with a hand tool. That's good. And the rest I could probably do by hand, but I think, yeah, you can still feel a little bit on there. I'm going to degrease it next because it is some of that is carbon itself, and ozone does that as well. So I'll use a bit of brake cleaner on that. I'm going to wash it out a little bit, and then I'm going to hit a little bit of acid and probably just a Q-tip and massage it, and that'll get the rest of it off. And I'll use my Alumibrite. I'll start off with that because it doesn't leave any compounds, and it's mild. And I'll let you know what it looks like in a minute. Just a little bit. You can already see it's loosening up the carbon. We want to get out any oils and greases that, you know, even the silicones or anything that found its way in here from just the environment itself. But in order for the acid to work properly as well, we got to get any greases off. And sure, you can go buy another one, but I don't think it's really necessary. And I think what I'll do is I'll take a file, not just a simple file. I see there's just a little bit. It's just to get off the junk. And these are post style, so they're very robust. They'll last a long time. I can feel it. I can almost hear it. You know, everything's on a budget now, guys. You know, I used to just go in and blast everything, and I had the phrase of, you know, while you're there, replace this or that, right? Because it's cheaper in the long run. But the problem you have is that everything is so expensive now All right, that's it. So it's pretty dirty. Look, see all the junk? We'll give it another quickie, and I'll blow it out. There's a lot of junk in there. I'll blow it first and make sure it's dry so that the acid is able to work. Because you can't, like I say this all the time, because with the acid, you cannot have any grease or anything. It won't work. Like, it might eventually, but it'll just take longer. That's good. Now you can blow it. Okay. Now again, this is Alumibrite. I get this at the welding supply. It's for cleaning aluminum before you weld and after. But just a little bit. And I'll come back in a little bit and just give that 10 minutes or so, right? It's doing its thing. It's just getting rid of any of the oxides that are left on there that we couldn't reach. And it won't hurt it. And it's great on brass and aluminum, right? Brass and bronze and aluminum, even a little stainless. All right, take a look. Now what I'm doing, by the way, is I have some, this is Dow Corning, but there's electrical insulating compound. It's a dielectric compound made of mostly silicone. And you can put it, I got some on a Q-tip and I just work it in. Now these it's a little bit more difficult to kind of get on the contacts, but we'll spray a little silicone in there and on the wires when I go to assemble it. But you got to have the cap on first because you do not want anything in here. So you can see how clean I got it. And just a little bit of light work with the acid, and then also you can take a very light piece of crocus cloth, wrap it around a stick like this, and then I just, hold it tight and go in there and just massage it. But, you could do that. I did that as a step towards the end just to polish up everything with a little bit of acid still in there. Now, they have to be clean. So it has to be absolutely no residue. So I'm just going to take, even though I actually washed this out with water because we had acid on it. Now I'm just going to leave that on there real quick and just take a clean towel and just blot and then blow. Because there's nothing you can put on contacts that will help it in this environment because of the magnitude of the spark. Let me blow it. Because the spark is taking place in open air, it's creating ozone, which is like a super oxygen. It's an extra oxygen molecule. It's O3, not O2. And so that will oxidize anything. And of course, if there's anything on these contacts, it makes it worse, right? So it's going to combine and make crud. So just clean. And you see how clean that is. So this is ready to put on. I just wanted to show you. I already threw out the Q-tip, but I cleaned off the rotor with just a little bit of sandpaper, and then I hit it with a little bit of acid on a Q-tip, and then I wiped it with a little brake cleaner, and I threw out the Q-tip, but the Q-tip came dirty. So that's done. And let me go put this on, and we'll be back in a bit. And so I did the same thing here, and I just polished the end a little bit. I turn the light on. So I use this just to polish that end. I'm going to blow this off. And the screws, I decided to take the screws out. I'm going to put a little bit of, sometimes I use Loctite, but I'm actually going to put a little no-sees on that. They're getting bad, and I don't want them to break inside that whole assembly. Then you'll have a real problem. Blow this off and we'll assemble in a minute. So here's your reluctor assembly. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit of lube down in there, blow it first, a little bit of lube, wipe it dry, and then blow it again, wipe it again. I just want a very light lube to get down in there, and then super clean, wipe it out good, blown, and then we'll put the cap back on. But you could see, like, it's getting oxidized. So we want to check this connector as well. We may want to put a little bit of silicone on, but again, I don't want to I want to do it in such a way that I'm not going to get, looks good, that I'm not going to have a problem. I don't want any silicone migrating up into that cap. But, you know, down in here, it's not an issue. But in that cap is a problem. Coffee truck. All right, nice and clean. Sprayed the boots up with a bit of silicone inside as well. Get everything all tidied up out of the way. I'll just cut this rope in a bit. That's just to hold things out of my way so I don't, you know, drop anything or whatever. Especially those little screws. Just give it a quick start. There we go. Nice and smooth. All right, and it's still running in open loop, but all right, I gotta put the doghouse back. Still has a little bit of a belt chirp. After all of that, she's quiet. I don't know what's going on with that belt chirp. Looks good. I cleaned it up a little. You know, she needs to warm up more because there's still steam coming out of the exhaust. But it's very humid out. It's almost dark. Hopefully we're getting, I think we're getting weather tomorrow. She's clean again. One more thing to do, which is the window regulator. All right. All right, fellas. Now, so just to be clear, right? Because I get the numbers. I think I have like dyslexia or something. Sometimes I'm just not thinking or I'm tired. All right, so I put in the AC Delco Platinum 41-979. And like I said, I did about a year ago. It's been running fine, although I have other issues with the vehicle. I'm kind of going over the whole vehicle. And so a little bit at a time, but she's running pretty good. What I had put in there, I put 5 plugs in there, but what was stuck in the original cylinder number 5, so regardless of whatever I had in there, you'll see those plugs. What was stuck in cylinder number 5 was the Iridium 41-932. God knows how long that may have been original. I don't think they used copper plugs. I don't remember. So there were copper plugs used in some of the Vortecs. I remember I had another Vortec. I had a couple of Vortec motors, an earlier one, Blazers and stuff. And I seem to remember copper plugs. Copper plugs are cheap. They'll work fine. The problem is if you want to get rid of the car or the truck or whatever, or SUV, that would be fine. The thing is, they won't last as long. They're not going to work as good. They're not going to fire as well. And of course, trying to get these things in and out on a van is a nightmare. It's hard enough on like an SUV, but the van just ups that ante. Even when I did the SUVs, I still went through the wheel well. But the wheel well is much bigger. You may not even have to take the tires off. You could probably just jack it up, let everything hang. So it's the same thing for like an SUV, but it'll be a little bit easier. And of course, with a really long, like 3/8 extension, right, you could be well past the tire, standing out on your neighbor's property and cranking away. That's kind of the idea of it. You need the wobble and all of that. Now, again, the Iridium 41-932 was the number that was available. I think it said 933 is what they're offering now. So they'll do this. They'll make slight changes and number changes. I don't know why. Is there something wrong? I don't know. I don't tell you. You're going to have to go look that up. I just wanted to be clear on that. And, of course, get a really high-quality cap, rotor, and wires. Now, as you saw what I did, I kind of went through what I had. I don't have much money, trying to save money. Things are just ridiculously expensive. I don't have to tell you fellas. So I'm a mechanic. I've been doing things for years. The acid that I'm talking about, some people said, in some of my other videos, they're concerned about using acid. Look, phosphoric acid is the most common acid to be used for cleaning metals of almost any kind, but it really doesn't work as well on certain metals like brass, copper. I use the aluminum brass cleaner. It's for welding. It's for cleaning up before, after, during welding. It doesn't leave any real residue. Most of the phosphoric compounds will leave a zinc residue, and it's for steel and usually bodywork. And what's nice about that is it leaves a zinc compound behind. It's called a precipitate, and it'll stop flash rust. I try to stay away from using a product like that on ignition, wires, contacts. I'm not really sure what that zinc compound precipitate will do. So I just use the other stuff. It's not a really aggressive acid. When it comes to phosphoric acid, you guys are probably drinking it in your Diet Coke, Pepsi, and your regular Cokes and Pepsis. That's what's in there. That's what gives it that zesty tang. And I don't recommend drinking that crap. But it's really useful for working on wires, cleaning up contacts, and things like that. Hopefully this is helpful. It's not hard to do if you take your time. You're going to kill a day, right? By the time you get everything up in the air and do your thing and you take your time, it's going to be hard. Wear gloves. It's going to be hard on your hands, right? Reaching in there. It's going to be a little frustrating. It's not really hard to do. It's frustrating. If you try to attack it and think you're going to get it done fast, good luck. If you've been in the field a long time and you're a mechanic, I don't know why you'd be watching this. So this is really for, the weekend warrior, shade tree mechanic style, which is really what I am. I mean, I've been doing this for years and years and years, and I've done it professionally. But, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm the guy that knows everything. This is what I did, and very successful. And it's another way to save some money. Hopefully this was helpful, fellas. Hit the like and subscribe button and do your thing. I hate saying that, right? Because I think we all say that. But you know what? Slam the like button if you like the video at the very least. I'll see you guys in the next one. And there is going to be a folder on this fan and a few other vehicles. Well, I mostly do small engines. I come from automotive. And I think the Astro Safaris, this is an extended van. So it's very useful. And they run really good and they're built well. These are the 90s to early 2000s. The SUVs, the vans, they're pretty decent. So if you got one or thinking about buying one, I would recommend it if you can get one in good shape. I'll see you guys later.